Good morning, student. Today I am going to explain you the first poem of your honeycomb book, The Squirrel. It is a very short and interesting poem about a squirrel. All the students know a squirrel. Squirrel is a rodent which is very naughty and playful. The poetess of the poem is Mildred Bowers Armstrong. Before explaining the poem, I will read it. He wore a question mark for tail, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. He likes to tease and play, and if we ran around his tree, he went the other way. In this poem, the poet describes Squirrel as he. One day, the poet was sitting in his garden and saw a squirrel. In the poem, the poet describes the squirrel that he observed in his garden. The poet describes how the squirrel covered in grey fur. The squirrel sits in an upright position on a tree branch eating a nut. At this time, his tail looks like a question mark because of its bent shape. The squirrel is a playful and naughty animal, and it loves to play with the poet and her friend. But whenever the poet and her friend ran around its tree, it would run to the other side of the tree. Now the student, as we saw in the poem, the poet described the tail of the squirrel as a question mark and its furry skin as an overcoat of grey color. The poet also described the playful and naughty nature of the squirrel. I hope this poem is clear to you. Now we will discuss the question answers of this poem. These are our questions. We will discuss them one by one. Our first question is, you may have seen a squirrel sitting on the ground eating a nut. What did it look like? Our answer is, the squirrel is a rodent. It is grey in color with brown strips on its back. It is very small in size with fur on its body and a large bushy tail, as you watching in the picture. It generally lives in trees and likes to eat nuts. It is a playful and naughty animal. Now our first question working with the poem is, why does the poet say the squirrel wore a question mark for tail? Now second part is draw a squirrel. You can read the question yourself. Now look at the answer. The poet says, so because the bushy tail of a squirrel sitting on the ground is curled back on its body in a curved shape that looks very similar to the punctuation mark at the end of an interrogative sentence. I would describe it as a furry and bushy cloth worn on its back that seems to ask you the question, what? This is our answer. Our second question is, do we usually say that an animal wears a tail? What do we say? And the answer is, no, usually we do not say that an animal wears a tail. We usually say that animal has a tail. Our question number third is, he liked to tease and play. Who is teasing whom? How? Now the answer is, the squirrel is a naughty, playful animal. It loves to be chased by other squirrels and kids as well. When poet and his friends ran around the tree on which the squirrel is sitting, it went the other way, teasing them and playing with them.